and welcome to today's class on Understanding Geography with Diagram. Today we'll be talking about the growth of the global population. Basically, with respect to the growth of the global population, this is the entire notes that I have prepared. But to explain this notes, I have also used this diagrams. So basically, I would like you to understand this complete diagram. See, within this diagram, I have represented the graph. This graph is called the time graph, and this is your total population. From this time graph, I have taken the period from the 10,000 years ago, or this is also the time when your Paleolithic culture began. From the 10,000 phase up to the 1750, we have taken this as your phase 1. Now in this part, as you can see, the population remains constant. The population is completely constant, with hardly there is a little bit or not increase at all. But it is after 1750 up to the 1950, or I call it as the phase 2. What happens is that there is a minor increase in the population. So basically phase 1, or the part where the population remains stationary, is nothing but what we can call it as the first stage of the demographic transition. And it is the second phase that we see it from the 1750 to 1950, we can call it the second phase of the demographic transition. And after we see that it is after this period, that is from 1950, there is a continuous population rise, and this continuous population rise has been depicted over here. Now this entire graph is called as your J graph, or we call it the J curve, because it signifies the shape to be in the J shape. So basically you understood this particular phases. Now basically let us understand why this population increased. Now why this population increased, basically I have used the S curve. The S curve is also called your homeostatic plateau or the New Malthusian plateau. What is this New Malthusian? Obviously you have heard of the Malthus. What did Malthus say? Malthus said that if the population rises, then the food resources will decrease. But Malthus, what he did was that Malthus did not take into account the medical facilities that were being developed, the agriculture facilities that were being developed, that could actually increase the resources while helping the population to grow. Hence, then came your New Malthusian. New Malthusian is nothing but a new form of thought process that said that considered, or that took into consideration, IT revolution, medical revolution, and green revolution into explaining this particular population rise. Simple. Hence, we have written it as Neo Malthusian. What does this Neo Malthusian say? The Neo Malthusian took into consideration the IT revolution, medical revolution, and green revolution, and this has been represented as a S curve. This S curve gives the reason that it is because from the 1950 onwards, the kind of the medical revolution that we achieved, the kind of green revolution that we achieved, and the kind of the IT revolution that we are in the process and we have achieved has resulted in the population growth. Now let us understand this complete notes. See, in the beginning of the culture is traced back to 10,000 years, obviously before the present, which represents the time of completion of the evolution of the Homo sapiens and the beginning of the Paleolithic culture. See, this is basically an explanatory. If you're not writing it, so far so good, no issues with that. It is since 10,000 years before the present that the interpretation of the human population is also taken into account, particularly for the lengthiest temporal sequence, that is 10,000 years before the present, and that up to 1750. This is what we call as your first phase of the global population, which remained constant. Again, we have the stage 1 of the demographic transition since 1750 to 1950 led to the minor increase. Yes, there was a minor increase that we had seen, and represent the population representing the beginning of the second stage of the demographic transition is outlined. It is since 1950 that the exponential increase in the global population represents the growth trend in J curve. Basically, this is the statement that I have written. Basically, what I want you to do is to draw the diagram and write what you completely understand from the diagram. Next, analysis of the population growth combined with the growth in the technological capacities make the temporal analysis. What is temporal analysis? Means time analysis representing the S curve. The S curve denotes that every level of the exponential population increase is both the cause effect of the technological innovation. This is also recognized as the homeostatic plateau or the Neo-Malthusian. I have explained you what does Neo-Malthusian approach means. I have also explained you what is the role of the S curve. The S curve is nothing but it is actually justifying the J curve, that why the population has increased in the J curve in such a manner. It's that simple. Done with this. Now let us look into the present context. Now in the present context, basically I have taken or utilized the UN population table of 2010 to 2011. Yes, I've used the UN population table of 2010 to 2011. In the UN population table 2010 to 2011 says that the global population have reached slightly over 7 billion mark, number one, and it is still growing at a rate of 2,60,000 live births per day. Simple. It in accordance projected year of the global population stability is 2150. What does the statement means? This statement means that within 2150 the global population will become stable, and that by that time the level of the global population will be near to 11 billion. More than 95% of the projected increase is likely to remain confined in the continent of the Africa, followed by South Asia. It says that this particular statement, what does it say? It says that by the time the level of the global population will be near 11 billion, that is more than 95% of the projected increase, it will be confined to Africa and South Asia. That these are the two best continents where the global population would be completely limited. So with this, we end your lecture over the growth of the global population. This is quite easy. I hope you won't be having any problem. Just do the diagram, and from the diagram itself, you can understand the entire concept. No need to worry about it. Thank you. That will be all for today.